Motor's been running since 68, riding the crazy train, knocking down gates. Yeah, we were born to be wild. It's my life, rocking as an English child. Our Beatles were leopards and snakes. Youth go wild, falling into Sunset Strip. I wanna rock, feel the noise. Hey, 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 rock the life.
Welcome to Rock the Life. I'm Amy.
And I'm Katja. Today we have a special guest on, Alison Metalbabe Cohen. She has been a fan in meeting bands since she was young and turned that passion into several businesses. She is a rock journalist with a clothing line worn by rock stars from glam to goth. She's attended hundreds of concerts and met more bands than any of us can count, and has a memorabilia collection that rivals Hard Rock Cafe. She's traveled extensively, mostly for her love of music. She spent 4 summers touring with Ozfest as a concert vendor, which I also hope to talk to her about in the future.
Yeah.
And she's promoted bands, interviewed bands, and written about bands. She has lived a rock and roll life. Today, we're going to talk about one of those bands, and it's bittersweet, but I am so happy we're going to talk about it.
Yes. On August 15th, we learned that Jack Russell of Great White passed away at 63. We wanted to do a show dedicated to Jack Russell and his work with Great White and his work within the music industry. Jack has one of the most amazing voices in rock, and we talk about with Alison seeing them live, and I mention just how real Jack's voice is. He sounded the same live every time I saw them that he did on the record or album. We've seen so many amazing artists on Instagram and other social media outlets paying amazing tributes. We wanted to make sure that we got ours in as well. Jack had one of those amazing rock voices that is unmistakable and irreplaceable.
You know, Amy, as we think about this in Great White, they formed in 1977. So for us, literally based in the music we've listened to our whole lives.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Once Bitten, Twice Shy, those 2 albums came out about 89. They were big hits in the 80s. So if you think from all that time, we've had Jack Russell singing to us as part of our life and as part of our stories. So this one's hitting hard listening to it, but just to do a beautiful tribute to him for the person that he was. Back in July, Jack wrote on his Instagram, which I find really touching. Words cannot express my gratitude for the many years of memories, love, and support. Thank you for letting me live my dreams. You made my life a wonder. And even when I say that, I kind of get chills. So with that, I just will bring you to the episode on Jack Russell and Great White. Alison, welcome to the show. We feel we've met a kindred spirit in you. Everything I've read about you and talking with you, love everything that you've done. So you've met a world of fans. Can you tell us about your first experience or the first band that stuck in your mind that made you think this is a lifestyle you're going to lead?
Definitely. And first of all, I just want to say hi, everybody. Thank you, Amy and Katya, for having me. My name is Alison. I go by Alison Metalbabe Cohen, and I'm happy to be here.
We're so excited to have you.
So I started when I was 10 years old. And what's kind of interesting is I actually have all of my ticket stubs up until, they quit sadly giving us ticket stubs. So I did a little research today for a couple things that we talked about. But my first concert was Bon Jovi with Cinderella opening in 1987. I was 10. There's my age. Oh my gosh. But that was it though. So technically the first band I ever saw in my life was Cinderella. I was with my 8-year-old sister, a friend, and her dad. So the 4 of us went to the concert in St. Louis, Missouri. And it was in 6th grade. I knew who Bon Jovi was. It was all the rave. No, actually I was in 5th grade because I went back again in 6th grade. So yeah, it was fifth grade, and it was like everybody was talking about it. Everybody from my school went, and it was like one of those moments, like you just walk in, and I just felt like the energy and the excitement. I was just like mouth on the floor, blown away, and there's no turning back. From that moment, I knew that was where I belonged. I loved music. I loved live rock and roll, and I wanted to dedicate my life to enjoying it, participating, supporting. Being embraced with music, no matter what I did.
That's awesome.
That is, and actually, I remember that tour. I went to the show for the version of Bon Jovi Cinderella in California at the time. And it was like, yeah, absolutely loved that one. That was amazing. So let's focus a little bit now on what our topic was, and that is Great White and Jack Russell.
So in 1992, to be specific, November 13th, 1992, my boyfriend at the time got us backstage passes to see Great White and Kiss in St. Louis, Missouri. And, I was young. I was in like ninth grade, I think, at that point. Yeah, I was in ninth grade. I didn't really know anything about Great White at all. I went because he was a diehard Kiss fan, and he got us backstage. I looked, and in my album, I have a guitar pick from Mark Kendall and another guitar pick that they both gave me. And I have an envelope, which is really funny. I guess there was nothing for them to sign. So there's a little white envelope that I cut into pieces.
Oh my
and
gosh.
has every member of Great White's signature on them. And the one that says Jack Russell, it says Rock Me. So I have all of their autographs on an envelope in my album from 1992 with 2 guitar picks.
That is
I don't have a
awesome.
whole memories about that, but I have the proof.
I actually saw that tour, and I remember I saw that tour with my then boyfriend, now husband. That was for me, it was December 17th or 18th at the Oakland Coliseum. And
92 also.
92. I just remember Jack Russell's vocals were on it. Like, it sounded just like the album. And I specifically remember thinking, oh my gosh, it sounds just like the album. That wasn't always the experience. And so, yeah, that was a great tour.
And then I did check our date. So we were thinking we were on the bus maybe at the same time. So that was right when Great White released the acoustic album Sail Away in 92. And the time I got on their bus was in St. Louis at Mississippi Nights, October 12th, 1994.
I'm trying to think back. I know my friend, one of my girlfriends and I, that we went, and it was a girls' night out. So I'm wondering if it was later than that, but before 2000. So I'm thinking maybe 90. No, I think it had to be 95. I just don't.
Okay, so they were probably on the next tour.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
But-
It was
but
just
with
such a
that,
different
Alison-
bus.
well, no, I want Alison to describe her tour bus, and then Amy, I want you to describe the tour bus you saw.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
Alison, what do you remember? I know it's a long time ago, but what do you remember about their tour bus?
So I was at the show. I was with my friend Jesse, and we were all hanging out after the show at Mississippi Nights. And, there's a whole group of us. And then basically they opened their tour bus, like, who wants to come on the bus, hang, have a drink, whatever, even though we weren't 21.
Right.
So me and my friend and, several other people got on the bus. And at this point, I feel like it just looked like every other tour bus. Like, you walk up a couple stairs, there's the driver. You go to the left, there's the couches. You go back a little, there's the bunk beds, there's the bathroom. And then Jack Russell had his own private room all the way in the back with the door closed that, had probably nice lights and, a little nicer vibe for him since he had the private room.
Yep.
But that was just a pretty basic tour bus. It was one of my first tour bus experiences. I think there's no specifics that stood out. So, Amy, I definitely think they had a totally different bus when you were there.
Yeah, and that's what confuses me on the year because, as the 90s went on, record companies were putting less and less money in towards rock bands, and I really feel like this was okay, so same kind of arrangement. You walk up the stairs, there's the driver, and then you turn tables and everything. But the bus that we got invited onto, I kid you not, had shag carpet on the walls. It had these /60s, almost like curtains that go like at the top of like a valance. and they didn't come all the way down. Everything was this color. I'm not even joking you. This color, and like on the shag carpet on the walls, oh my word, the curtains were that checkered with this, and the tables were that old school diner plastic, kind of a pearlescent white. I don't remember what color the chairs and the seating were, but it was definitely not a tour bus that I have seen before or since. And this was after a lot of our other experiences. Katya and I hadn't seen each other in a long time at this point, so this is probably the last tour bus I've actually seen. And almost it was. And at first I was like, they invited us on. And so I kind of felt like my first thought was, what the hell happened in here? I was like, who designed this? And then after that, I was like, are they like mortified, or did they just decide to embrace it and rock it out? But they were all comfortable. Come on up, have a drink. Yeah. And they rocked it. But I literally remember looking around going, what is this? It looked like it would have been like Patsy Cline's bus, like way back in the day. That's exactly what it reminded me of, actually. And it was the same setup. There were you walk through the couches and a little kitchenette, and then there were the bunks, and then the private door, which was already closed by the time we got on the bus. And so we just kind of had a beer and chit-chatted a little bit and made our way.
Did Jack have the back room too?
Yeah, and we didn't see him. The door was closed early, so that was fine.
Alison, I was going to ask you. So, I mean, your first memories started as a kid with Great White. I mean, you were a teenager. When was the last time you saw Jack or saw him play or the band play?
At the last two times I saw him, I was thinking about what's the very, very last time was at the Rainbow Bar and Grill. So I don't know how many people are familiar, but every Labor Day and then every April, they have a big backyard bash. I can't remember exactly which year it was, but it was within a couple years. It was just a couple years ago. He played there outdoors, and I feel like he might have been played with like a colonoscopy bag, like at one point. Like he was having his health issues, but he was still just, he was fighting, and he wasn't going to give up, and he was going to give it all he got, and, be there for his fans. And then the time that wasn't too far before then was there's a festival in Monaga, Minnesota called the Midsummer Music Fest. And I went up there with my husband in 2021. We're just on a road trip, and timing worked out. Enough's Enough was there, and all these fun bands. So we went there, and that was the last time that I really feel like I communicated with him. We talked a little bit. I talked with his bass player, Dan McNay, who I know from out here, and some of the other guys, and it was a really great show. And also, because of that show, I have some lifelong friends in Minnesota, which is kind of an amazing thing. So even though Jack Russell is no longer, I have at least 5 girlfriends I can count on my hands now that are forever lifers. One couple in San Diego, and the others are actually in Minnesota, and I'll be seeing them at a festival in 2 weeks. So it's kind of amazing, like the power of music. Yep. And the whole reason, I'll tell this story because it's kind of really funny. Please. I was in the very front. I'm always in the very front. So I was in the front with my husband, and we were watching, Jack Russell's Great White. And Grant is his name. He really wanted to hear the song Street Killer. So he just kept yelling Street Killer. And a lot of times he does this, the band will play the song, like it's happened recently at another show, but he's yelling this, and these 2 girls in front of us started just calling him Street Killer. And now to this day, I'm friends with Dana and Angie, and they nicknamed my husband Street Killer, and it's this ongoing joke. And it's all, all because music reunites us and connects us, and the power of music. So that was a great moment that we were all connected because we were all in front at Jack Russell's Great White in Monaga, Minnesota.
So did awesome. You met new girlfriends at that show?
Yeah, and I even went back to this other rock fest. It's called Rocktember. It's in Hinckley, Minnesota. I went last year, and the friend that I met that called my husband Street Killer, she picked me up from the airport. We spent the night at her house. We shared a hotel. We're doing it all over again for Rocktember this year. And, even other friends
That's
I met
awesome.
back in 21, one of them I haven't seen since, is coming to the show. And then it's even interesting because, like, every time I'm at a show, I'm always promoting. I'm always have a flyer in my hand. I'm giving out Metalbabe Man flyers. People remember, that
Right,
happens.
right.
So when I went to the show last year, I had probably 15 to 20 people say, I know you. You gave me a flyer. So
That's
it's kind of
awesome.
like this whole connecting thing. And like something about, the rock fans, but I swear I've been all over the world, and I will say this proudly. I feel like people in Minnesota are the best rock fans I've seen in my life. It's just insane.
That's
It's
awesome.
just the best.
Okay,
I don't
I
know why.
need
I
to.
grew up in
I
Midwest
do.
because I in the Midwest. It's Minnesota specifically.
Well, and also
Yeah.
tell me about this. Tell me about the Rainbow. Is it hosted by the Rainbow Room shows? What are those? Those sound.
So the Rainbow was established in April, give or take 50 years ago. I'd
Right.
have to double check the exact date. So they do a party in the parking lot, and it's an all day event. So basically, the first band goes on at 1 and starts with, your local bands that want to be there. And then, throughout the headliners, bands play in the parking lot. So basically, they close out the parking lot, they put a stage there, they put beer tents and vendors and people, like, it's like a reunion. Like, some
Yeah.
people only go out for these parties, and they have bands that play from 1 p.m. till 10 p.m. And then it's a strict shut off at 10 p.m. But the Rainbow's open, till 2, so people go inside the Rainbow. And then the Rainbow is open the whole time. And they do this for the anniversary in April and then Labor Day. So the
That's
next one is
awesome.
actually going to be Sunday, September 1st. You basically have to buy 2 drinks. They say it's free to get in, but you have to buy 2 drinks when
Nope.
you get in, and then you go get your drinks, and you just hang out all day. And to me, it's my favorite, one of my favorite events in LA, because it's like a reunion. I know like 100 people or more every time. I always know the bands, and it's always just a great time.
That
That
sounds like a
sounds
blast.
awesome.
That sounds like a
I
blast.
know. I was like, that sounds perfect.
Yeah.
But Alvin, I want to get back. You had just mentioned also that you know some of the other members of Great White. Tell me about like you watching the different iterations of Great White, Jack Russell's Great White, and over the years what you've experienced with the band.
It's been interesting being in Los Angeles, like, and being part of all of it. And I don't necessarily know the details or, the cause or whatever, but what I do know is that there were 2 Great Whites for a while. There's Jack Russell's Great White, which has, Dan McNay on bass, and I think Tony Montana, and they've got that version. And then there was the other version, which was Terry Illouz, who was initially the singer of XYZ. And then that one had your Mark Kendalls and your initial Great White members, and they were both, touring simultaneously. But in recent years, Terry and Jack reunited, and I think that happened after Terry was I can't say left again. I don't know the details, but whenever he was no longer in Great White, that was the point where him and Jack reunited. And Terry is interesting because he's literally my neighbor. We've like done karate together. We had ran into each other on a layover in Austin like a few months ago, and we sat on the plane and chatted all the way back. My husband's done editing for him, so we're like totally connected on that way. And then he now, this is a good segue, is on August 23rd, which is actually tomorrow, since we're pre-recording and
Yeah.
everything. They are doing a tribute to Jack Russell in Arcadia at the Arcadia Theater in Illinois, and then that's going to be a one-time thing, as I'm told now, with Terry on vocals and then the Jack Russell band. It's a full tribute night to Jack Russell, so they're doing that, and then also they are planning a Jack Russell tribute in Southern California. So I did just hear about that. There's not a date or venue yet, but that's all in the works. So
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to getting more information on that.
Do you know why they chose Arcadia, Illinois for the tribute?
It was already on the books. That was a show that Jack Russell was initially going to play. It was just basically,
Okay.
as far as I know, it's like a random tour date. Jack Russell was going to play, and then it was like a month ago, Jack Russell pulled out. He announced he had dementia and that he needed to pull out. And then that was when they were going to make it a Jack Russell and Friends thing. And then after his passing, they decided, well, let's not do that. Let's just kind of revamp and make it a night all about Jack Russell and have Terry take on the lead vocals. So it's gone through a few transitions, but I think that date was just booked. Like, I haven't looked on Jack Russell's tour dates earlier when I was kind of researching some key points, and that tour date is on Jack Russell's website. So like he had
Okay.
Yeah.
intention of being there and playing that show, and now that he's not here, it's being, you know, turned into a tribute for him.
No,
I
that makes sense because everything I know about Great White is I focus. It's Los Angeles to me. Everything about Great White is Los Angeles. So that's why I was like, I wonder what the connection to Illinois. So that makes sense that it was already on the tour date.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, speaking of like thinking of Great White and LA and beach, all of that, I was listening to Eddie Trunk and I didn't know that for years upon years upon years, Jack Russell owned and lived on a boat. And I thought it was so funny because he talked about how he would take band members, family, and friends shark fishing or fishing for shark, however you want to say that. And I thought, oh my gosh, here's this band, Great White, and they're actually fishing for shark. I just, for some reason, that kind of struck me funny and made me smile, you know, thinking about and reflecting on all of the Great White like memories and that sort of thing. That just brought a smile to my face. It was great.
It was really funny, kind of ironic. And I know I mentioned to you guys, I do have a friend who lives out here named Cindy, and she had posted, like we've said, there's been such an outpouring of love and stories and photos of Jack Russell. I recall seeing her post a story about her growing up fishing with her dad and seeing Jack Russell fishing on his boat too. But I think it's really neat that Jack Russell did that too with friends and fans.
Yeah, I do too. Katya, do you have a Great White story?
I do, and it's actually from a long time ago. I'd say back in the time when I was probably when Once Bitten, Twice Shy came out, and my aforementioned sister, who was like a great sport of driving me around for my love of music because I was too young at the time, drove us to a house of guitars in upstate New York where we were vacationing, and I was so excited to meet the band. And she took pictures of me with the band, but still, she was never impressed and just did this just because I liked it. And it was just it was like a record signing day, picture day. And the guys I thought were really sweet and fun. And I was just really, you know, at like, 14, 15 years old, I was like really excited to meet them. And yeah, always listened to their music ever since then too.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome. How
but
funny. We
Alison,
all
I was
have
also
little
gonna,
Great White stories. Oh, sorry.
we
go
all
back.
have little Great White stories. No, and they all started from when we were kids or when we were young, like young people. But it's so fun, and but that's why I think it's like bittersweet now to see, unfortunately, as we see some of our favorite band members passing and we're losing them, and it really makes me really want to go to more of these shows and to see them because it is just, Alison, like you mentioned, like such a good vibe, like just meeting people and being here at their shows and having these bands bring us together, I think is just fantastic. So yeah, it hurts a bit.
I agree. And it's interesting that the three of us have never met in person and we're still brought together right now. And we all have the same shared experiences. Also, I don't know if you know Katya, we're all September babies.
Yeah.
I do not. Oh, of course we are.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's funny. So we're all September babies. Katya and I are both redheads, so now we gotta get you in and add a little.
I got my hair right before the interview. Like it's too dark in here, but
I see a little bit. I see a hue. I do see a hue. I was like, oh my god, it's so funny.
Okay, and Alison, I'm going to put you on the spot for a little bit right now too.
Okay.
If you were to say, like, think back, soundtrack of your life with the Great White songs or Jack Russell's, what songs would you pick?
The first song that I have the most experience with is Once Bitten, Twice Shy. And of course, when it came out, I know it wasn't even their song. I mean, it was one of the biggest songs on the radio. And I remember, and this was, it came out, I think, 89. Is that right?
Around there.
Or was it even sooner?
It might have been 88, maybe.
Yeah, but I didn't know it till much later. One of my memories is I remember I was in about 8th grade, and I remember I was with my friend Melanie, and we were in my basement, and we're just have Once Bitten, Twice Shy, just cranking. And I look at her on the couch, and she does this move whenever he does the line, got your hands all across my state line. And she just does this move like this, all sexy, like putting her hands across her state line. And I was so innocent. I'm like, what the hell? I didn't even know what that meant at that point. And I saw her doing this move. I'm like, oh, now I know what that means. That was one of the first ones. And then I was kind of like, actually, as you guys see my CDs behind me, I pulled out a few Great White CDs here. And I was just looking at them. Hands down, my favorite Great White song is Face the Day. It's just, I don't know if it necessarily has any necessarily meaning, but it's just such a standout song. And, you know, they have so many great songs and so many hits. But that's just the one that just always just gets me. And I love it. I want to sing along. And then not necessarily Great White, but Jack Russell released a solo album in 2017 called He Saw It Coming. And I think that's one of my top favorite, like, of the entire Jack Russell catalog. I don't know if you guys are familiar. It's just so good. Yes, it's so good.
Okay.
And I do a segment on a radio show called This, That, and the Other. I do the Metalbabe Minute every Wednesday and Saturday with Troy Patrick Farrell. And I just played a tribute to Jack Russell on Wednesday. It's going to re-air this Saturday. And I played that song, and I've got such great feedback. So anybody listening, of course, Katya and Amy, check out He Saw It Coming. I never saw Jack play it live. I told Dan McNay a couple times, please play this for me. It didn't happen, but at least I can spread the word of my favorite Jack Russell song. So between those three, I think that covers pretty much from the beginning until now.
I can't wait to hear it. I had no idea. Did it hit you more musically or lyrically, do you think?
Musically.
Okay.
The album is titled He Saw It Coming, and every song on the album is great. And here, I know we had a segue of another question on here. You asked, you know, how do I get my interviews? So basically, I've been writing as a rock journalist professionally since 2008 and, you know, been involved in the music scene. So every day I literally get free music and interview requests every single day. And all I really have time to do is put them in a folder. And every now and then one of them will strike me and I'd be like, I'm like, I have to listen to it. And this was, again, 2017. I knew nothing about it. I got the email that said, you know, Jack Russell releases He Saw It Coming. I downloaded it just like I do every now and then. Most of the time, I'm like, whatever. I was just like one of those moments where I was like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing I've heard in a long time. And I fell in love with it. Every song, start to end. But that one, it's really funky. It's just got a great guitar riff. It's got a cool intro. There's a video. It's sing along. It's catchy. It's fun. And I think, you know, you guys love it.
Yeah. Would you classify it as kind of the bluesy Great White sound, or is it more of a rock sound?
The bluesy Great White sound.
Great. I love that. I love that. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I cannot wait. Okay. Make a note. This is what I'm doing when we're done. Sorry.
You guys have to let me know what you think. And our listeners, too, comment below and let us know what you think of He Saw It Coming by Jack Russell.
I can't wait. Thank you. Like, I literally, no clue. So, educated. Love it.
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah. Speaking of, like, educating, there's something else that you do. What else do you do? Because I'm like,
I'm primarily, as you guys said in the intro, I'm a rock journalist with a clothing line. This is one of my designs. I'll stand up so you can see it a little better here.
Love it.
This is called Sewn Shut.
Love it.
I've got it. Like, this is a cute style. Like, I just have a red under it. So this is just like kind of one of the styles I sell. You can wear whatever you want under it. And then this is one of my guitar pick necklaces that Amy needs to get.
Love that. Yeah.
I'll get you one. But yeah, I have a rock and roll clothing line. I established it in 2005. So we're going on almost 20 years solid.
That's excellent.
Yes. I'll also do something special for my 20-year. I established in September. So next September, I'll come up with something fun.
Nice.
To celebrate. But yeah, I sell rock and roll clothing, jewelry, accessories. I sell leather cuffs like this.
I'm a bracelet girl.
I have a lot of just designs. I do tank tops, t-shirts, hoodies. I've got about 35 original designs, and they're all rock and roll related. I have one that's like this. I've got a bat. I've got a sexy pinup girl series. I've got just all rock and roll related stuff, a lot with lips and bones and skulls.
Yeah.
So that's metalbabemayhem.com. And we have a special promo code for everybody who's watching or listening. If you go to metalbabemayhem.com and you type in the promo code RockTheLife15, you'll save 15%. Yeah. So that's
we have our first promo code. Sorry. We just celebrate. Woo!
I am going to go strong. And Alison, where can also people like listen to you for your weekly, is it on Instagram, podcast, YouTube? Tell us about that.
So the show is called This, That, and the Other. Troy Patrick Farrell, who many of you may know, he's a drummer. He was in White Lion, Gilmore Clark, Tantric. He's in Vegas and plays in bands there in Vegas, like Bon Jovi tribute. We go way back. Troy actually was physically made my first T-shirt, if you can believe that. I didn't meet him on the show like normal. I was getting my first T-shirts made in 2005, and he worked with the guy Kenny who made my T-shirts. And before I knew it, me and Troy are together selling this other guy's T-shirts and like hanging out on the Sunset Strip. And we always connected. And time goes by, things are on and off. But I reunited with Troy when I was seeing Trickster with Eric Martin in Las Vegas at the end of last year. And it was kind of interesting. I won't tell the whole story, but we reconnected over a song that he didn't know that he played on his show that I referred everyone to, and it was a hit. So I said, I can do that every week. And I was serious. So every week I tell him or tell a story and I play a song. And it's basically anything I want and songs I love, bands I love. But the whole idea is it's something most people won't know. So I just played He Saw It Coming, so I try to introduce people to really obscure songs by big bands or really obscure bands. And then it always has a story connected, something personal that I can tell a story. So Wednesdays at 2:30 Pacific time is my Metalbabe Minute. The show goes on Wednesdays from 2 to 5, where Troy tells his own stories and has special guest interviews. Okay. It's a great 3-hour show. But we put my segment in about 30 minutes in. It's on Dirty Radio Classics. We can post the URL in the comments. Maybe, so people can
I'll
see
put it in the show description.
That would be great. But yeah, every Wednesday, the show starts at 2 o'clock, and then we do a replay every Saturday at 5. And it's fun. I love being on the Metalbabe Minute, and it's been really great for me, and I'm happy to be here with you guys too.
Yay.
Oh, I know. Thank you for introducing me to all this. I love it. I'm looking forward to. Yeah, I'm out away from the music scene now, so to be able to connect online and do it all, it's going to be great.
Thank you so much for coming on to the show. We know we're gonna have you back. We know we're gonna see you again. We absolutely adore and appreciate you. And my goodness, I can't wait to listen to that song. I can't wait to check out the Metalbabe Minute and probably the entire show, because I feel like it's going to be right up our alley. So thank you for all of that and for coming. And we will see you very soon.
Very soon. Thank you, Alison.
Thank you, Katia. And I just want to give one last shout out for Jack Russell's friends and for his family and for his fans. And I know it's a really hard time for a lot of people out there. There's been just so much love outpouring. So I just want to send my love to everybody in the Jack Russell family.
Well, thank you.
And also thank you, Katia and Amy, for having me on Rock the Life.
Yep. Thank you. Wow, Amy, I'm so glad we had Alison on the show, and a big thank you to Alison Metalbabe Cohen. She really, that really felt good.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna have to do something at some point where we all get together and just hang out in real life and go to a show. But in the meantime, if you have your own rock and roll story that you would love to share, be it about Jack Russell, Great White, or someone else, make sure that you send us an email to Amy.rockthelife@outlook.com. You can follow us on our socials on Instagram. We are at Rock the Life Girl, and we actually now have a Facebook page. So you can find us at Rock the Life on Facebook. So there it is. As the days and the weeks go by, don't forget, rock the life. I love you, Katia.
Bye. Love you too. Bye.